And again, we're all here on the dais and ready to go to work. The next is time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda item. Do we have a card?
I have one speaker card. Matthew Garlick.
Hello, Mr. Garlick. Nice to see you.
My name is Matthew Garlick. I am a representative of Liberty Utilities. Here to talk about a situation that occurred.
I'm going. We can't hear you. I don't even think that mic is working. I think because
No.
no, it's still not. So I'm really sorry to do this. But while we're doing this, I just want to remind you of the 3 minutes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
There's a mic for you,
put it
Mr.
up.
Garland.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you.
We
Thank you very
don't
much.
seem
How's
to be
that?
able to
Better?
rectify this tonight.
All right. My name is Matthew Garlick. I'm here as a representative of Liberty Utilities, Mayor Lord, Vice Mayor Osborne, and the council. It's my regret to come tonight to talk to you about the event that occurred on the 27th of November. So I'll try to be brief within the 3 minutes and go over that. There's two sides to operational and communications, and I'll start out with the operational side so you understand the event. On November 27th, 12 o'clock, around 7:30 p.m., Liberty Utilities operational staff was notified via remote alarm that a reservoir had a low-level alarm. Staff arrived on site within 10 minutes to find that the reservoir would not respond to localized controls. Staff immediately notified management and began to recall key operational staff and perform corrective system measures. Within 15 minutes of that initial reservoir response, Liberty Utilities after-hour service began to receive low-pressure calls from areas north of Camelback. Shortly thereafter, Liberty Utilities received notification from both the City of Goodyear and Litchfield Park of pressure complaints. During this time, the City of Goodyear offered use of its reverse 911 system and mutual aid. Shortly thereafter, Liberty Utilities notified the news media of the issue and advised them of a further update would follow shortly. During the next 45 minutes, due to the lack of system pressure, several Liberty wells had to be restarted. At 9:30, the system pressure began to return to normal status, and the system pressure was normalized at approximately 10 p.m. During this time, Liberty increased its chlorine residuals as a precautionary method and began to flush the water system to remove any air that may have been entrained. The low pressure or water outage event lasted approximately 3 hours. Now that is on the operational side of things. On the communication side of things, they all happened simultaneously, so I'll go over that as well. As operations is responding to the problem, management is working on regulatory and public awareness issues. Liberty immediately notified the ADQ, the ACC, Maricopa County Environmental Department of the situation to gain further guidance. Liberty places an outage update on its phone system for its customers as soon as it was able to get on. Early the next morning, about 1 a.m., the first advisory went out to the cities of Goodyear and Litchfield Park, in which we placed on there as a precaution to advise to boil. This was done as
Go ahead and
precautionary.
continue.
Okay. Even though Liberty never lost its integrity or chlorine, nor was it a requirement, it did it as a safety precaution throughout the system. On that following morning at 9 o'clock, Liberty was able to get in contact with both regulators, who agreed that an order to boil was not needed, but even though we put the advisory out as a precaution, they appreciated it. Shortly thereafter, at 8:55 a.m., a second notice went out to regulators that we were going to.
Excuse me just a moment. I'm going to tell the council that I'm going to let him continue on this. I think this is valuable information.
It is,
All right,
it
thank you.
is,
Your
yeah.
consensus. All right, go ahead.
I'm almost done.
No, no,
At 8:55 a.m., there was another public notice that went out to the customers notifying that there would be no order to boil. It was not necessary. However, as a precautionary method, Liberty Utilities collected additional samples that would be confirmed the following night, and the following day, and we indicated we'd do that. On the 1st of December at 11:15 a.m., Liberty received verification that those samples were good, and a third notice went out to the community saying that all was clear. Liberty Utilities then implemented its IVR system, which is similar to your reverse 911, and returned that back to all of its customers that there was an all clear. The root cause of the failure, determined to be a malfunctioning piece of equipment, had been removed from service. we're in the process of retaining an engineer to confirm that there will, future incidences can occur, and take into account of those recommendations and put those in an event. We are now going back to review the issue and review how we could have responded to the community better. As with all incidents of this nature, this is an opportunity to identify areas of improvement for operations and communications. And during this time, we'd like to thank you for the city and their aid, their mutual aid, especially Jerry. We'll be able to answer questions at a later date, I'm sure. Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming before us and talking to the public on this. There were a lot of questions, and so we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And at this time, we can't make any discussion, right, by the laws. Can I say something to the city manager on a couple of, or not? Yeah, well, I'm going to let you, but I'm going to say, first of all, that I noticed there were some areas that, like in my neighborhood, we have a phone book, and they listed our name under the utilities, under the water. And so I think we need to contact those homeowners association, and they need to put Liberty and a number for them. The other thing I noticed is, and my husband came home, with all these questions from the different people in the community, a non-emergency number. People don't always understand what the non-emergency number. So to them, they're thinking of something happening in the house that they have to call the police. They're not thinking of something as a utility problem. So somehow we need to get that out to the public. So that's my comments. I'm going to turn the rest over to the council. Sorry for charging ahead like this, but very seldom do I get to speak first on these, so I took the privilege tonight. I'll start down here. Ms. Stipp.
I guess I'm going to direct to Mr. Delkey as well. I have to wonder in my emergency management brain, when would somebody have decided to actually take advantage of the reverse 911 system? I think a boil order at 1 o'clock in the morning probably is a warrant for a reverse 911 as opposed to a system that people may have registered for through Liberty. So I'd like us to find out with some assurance that of what that procedure is on that side. And I'm very happy that we offered to be part of the solution, but I'd like to kind of find out what is the answer to that. If there's a resident or customer in Liberty's case, a customer can sign up to be notified. That's great, but if only one person in one home in my 400 homes in my neighborhood get that phone call, I'm drinking dirty water in the morning, and that's probably not good. So I'd like us to look into that. And then the other thing is our internal notification system. Did we respond the way that we should have? I am very confident that Jerry and the water gang did what they were supposed to do. But I think the notification to us as a council, it appears as though there may have been a breakdown in that. And several of us were out of town, so I get that, but I think we should look at that as well. And I'd like to see some information back on that, on this subject. Thanks.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd like to propose a couple of questions to our city manager, or actually ask for his follow-up with Liberty Water. I would like for the city to be advised of what Liberty finds out from their consultants, if they are checking all of their pumps and everything to make sure that we're not going to have this again. And the second question is that if we would have used our reverse 911 system, would we have known what to tell them? Since it's not our water company doing it, it's Liberty, but Liberty is providing the service to half of our community. Perhaps Liberty needs to look into having that sort of communication tool ready to go, because I really think the residents are going to come back to the city and want to know why the water wasn't working, even though it wasn't us. And I did get several emails after I told Councilman Stipp I did not know about it when I got back to my room. I did have emails from residents asking me what was going on, and I didn't even know what was going on because I didn't know it had happened. So there we go.
Yes, Councilman Pizzillo.
Being third in line here, and I'm sure it's going to dwindle as we get farther down the pipe. I tend to agree with the suggestions so far. I think it's important on the suggestions on the mayor that you have a non-emergency number published so that people can call. But I think if there's any questions, and I was even getting phone calls on the issue, and I didn't have anything that I could really give them at that time. Is even if it is non-emergency and they have a significant drop in pressure, I think it really would help to send out, at that time, just one of those reverse calls. Say, hey, listen, right now everything, whatever the status is at that time, they can give update because when it drops like that, and there was some postings, that people would put out either on Facebook or email with the boiling water, and I guess that didn't get to that point. It's my understanding, but it would be nice to let people know where it is so they don't, get all wrapped up in that unnecessarily or necessarily. So I think the information is really critical timing-wise when those things start to go.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Well, I was in Boston at the time and was getting Facebook messages. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And unfortunately, I said, well, I'm in Boston, but I'm going to do my best to find out the answer. And staff jumped right on it and was looking to find out, what the issue was. But, that was a critical time for at least 2 hours there that I had I had Litchfield Park residents also ask me, what's going on? And so, unfortunately, they were not getting responses from Liberty either. And so, as I was trying to feed information on my Facebook site, I was thinking about how were we as a city either posting something quickly to our own website I didn't even think of the reverse 911 at that point, but I think also we didn't have all the answers yet. But I agree that the communication was huge, but I do think that staff did what they could quickly to find out what was going on. And but I think we could have been a little faster to help our citizens understand what was going on. That's really about all I can add to it.
Councilman Loretano?
I just have a couple things, a lot of good suggestions. With our reverse 911 system, it might be time for us to go back out and I don't want to say re-solicit, but let people know it's out there again because it's been a while. Because I don't know how many people have signed up, but let's try to get everyone who hasn't. And does that have the ability for text messaging? Because if not, that's a great way to get more than one person in a house. Because a lot of people don't pick up their voicemail if it goes to a voicemail. But when you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, that text message is the first thing on most of these smartphones now that you pick up. So if you saw that there's an alert on text messaging, you may not check your voicemail right away, but if you see that, then you're like, oh, we got a problem, and you'd see it right away. So I don't know if it does or if we could do text messaging.
Yes, go ahead.
Mayor and Council Member Loretano, what we'll do is we'll get you information on how the reverse 911 works. We need to get you an update, as well as not just text messaging capabilities, but the ability to geographically apply it. Because one of the worst things we could have done is notify all of our citizenry south of I-10 to put a panic into them. So these are things we're looking at right now as far as what we can do, and certainly working with Liberty. By the way, they worked very well with our staff. I would like to compliment Jerry Postema. Also our fireside, making sure that we had emergency services as well. But do have the suggestions here, and we'll follow up on those.
Well, we have one more council person we didn't ask. So, Councilman Barber, would you like to make a comment?
Mayor and Council, I think these are all wonderful suggestions, and but there were a couple of incidents that happened over the weekend. It would have been nice to have some information. I'm still in need of the communication tools with the city so I can get that information as well. I don't feel comfortable not having answers when I'm at home and people are contacting me as well. So, but definitely a couple of incidents over the weekend, and communication is the best thing that you can possibly have. So,
well, now just to add mine. At 10:30 at night I get a call, and of course they want to know what happened. And when I stated, I'm sorry, What happened? I don't know what happened because I didn't have the problem. The person was very upset that the mayor of the city didn't know what was going on, and so on. It was an unfortunate situation, but somehow I didn't get the 911, and so I didn't get any information. So it just makes you feel uncomfortable, and they think we should know all of that and be able to answer it. So I think it was taken care of quickly. I mean, when you think of the damage that was done. So I don't have anything on that. I think it's all communication.
It was the
so.
boiling of the water, too.
Yeah,
was
and the boiling of the
question.
water, sure, certainly, and get
Why
that
is the boiling?
information. Yeah,
I mean, that's
you're right.
the
You're
question.
right, Vice Mayor. You're right. Okay, are we all set on that subject? All right, great. We do have another speaker card, and I'd like to welcome Paul Smiley. And he's going to speak on the Goodyear Small Business Summit.
Members of the council, thanks for having me this afternoon. On October 10th, Goodyear sponsored the 3rd annual Small Business Summit this year. From my opinion, as one of the sponsors, I thought it was one of the fantastic events. We had 80 small business people show up. It was a free event, which was unique in itself.
Yes, it
Normally
was.
events like this cost $300-400 to attend. So we had about 8 people attend. We had some very high-level speakers such as Luke Air Force Base Contracting, the SBA, on the federal side, Westside National Bank, and the list goes on and on. But I want to this afternoon just pay homage and thank your ED branch, Harry Paxson, Tina Daniels, and a host of others who made this event just seamless. It was fantastic. Food was great. The Wigwam provided, not the Wigwam, but
Pebble Creek.
provided a great facility there. And people who came from Central Phoenix to the West Valley were just in awe about Pebble Creek and our city, how clean it was. They had great comments for the city. So I would ask that in 2013, as we move forward for the 4th annual conference, we hope to double the number of people attending, and we hope that the council will support that. As a side note, we also raised about $300 for the Homeless Youth Connection, a nonprofit organization located right here in Goodyear. So
That's great.
from my
Thank you.
perspective, it was great. I think the people attending had great information, and Harry, Paxton, myself, and Tina have already started planning for next year's conference, how to make it better. So thank you
Great.
so much. You had some great people on staff. They did a fantastic job.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give you, Mr. Smiley, a hand of applause for doing this. He's absolutely right. I attended that, and it was outstanding. So, thank you. Okay, are there any other speaker cards from the audience? So we're all okay. We'll go into the consent agenda. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda, item A and B by title only?
Item A, approve draft minutes of a special meeting held on November 19th, 2012. Item B1, adopt resolution 12-1519 declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk titled Amendment to Section 3-13-2 Definitions and Section 3-13-4 Commission Membership and Term of Chapter 3 of the Goodyear City Code. Item 2, adopt ordinance 12-1270, amending Section 3-13-2 definitions and Section 3-13-4 Commission membership and term of Chapter 3 of the Goodyear City Code, severability and an effective date.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Does anyone from the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Then could I please have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Vice Mayor Osborne, a second by Councilman Stipp. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Barber,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
Mayor Moore.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
All right, then let's start with the business items. The first item on business is to consider appointments to the Park and Recreation Advisory Commission. Nathan Torres to present.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. That's a great day for Parks and Recreation as we're bringing to life and fruition the creation of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission will represent our residents and provide recommendations to both the City Council as well as the Parks and Recreation Department on all things Parks and Rec, strategic planning, budgeting, program opportunities. They will promote safety within everything we do and our facilities, as well as be involved in capital improvement planning basically, they will represent our residents. And so we are excited today to launch the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. And on behalf of the council subcommittee, council members Wally Campbell and Bill Stipp, we are recommending candidates tonight for appointment. And we have a very diverse group of candidates. It was an extremely large and talented pool, and we're pleased tonight to make recommendations for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission.
Great, thank you very much. Can I have a motion and a second to consider appointing Nicole Baumgard, Brian Murphy, John Richardson for 2-year terms expiring December 3rd, 2014 to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Loretano. Open for council discussion? Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The ayes have it. And just so you know, as we go along, we'll bring them all back up at one time, okay, for the oath. All right, let's go to the second one then. And so can I have a motion and a second appointing Aaron Beckstrom, Elisa, I hope I pronounced this right. You have a presentation for this also on the second one?
For the arts and culture.
Okay, so I can just...
No, the
No,
other rest.
he
rest of
doesn't,
the
so
Parks and Rec.
I'm going to do the rest of the Parks and Rec. Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second appointing Aaron Bergstrom and Eliza Priola, Jennifer Sylvester, and Michael Padilla for a 4-year term expiring December 3rd, 2016 to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
I hear a motion by Councilman Stipp and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for council discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go to item B before we do the oath. So the next item is to consider appointments to the Arts and Culture Commission. Nathan Torres again to present. Nathan?
Mayor and Council, the Arts and Culture Commission basically develops the artistic and personality, cultural personality for the city. And we have a very diverse existing Arts and Culture Committee right now, very active. And tonight, on behalf of the Council Subcommittee, Councilmember Wally Campbell and Bill Stipp, we're happy to present candidates for appointment to fill these vacancies for the Arts and Culture Commission.
All right, thank you. You know, you didn't ask about speaker cards before the other ones for me to do, so at this point, do you want me to, if there's anybody, but we've already voted.
We don't have any.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. So can I have a motion, please, and a second appointing Anthony Galto and Gailey Orzanski to the Arts and Culture Commission for a 3-year term expiring on December 31st, 2015, who are replacing Alexander Kolai and Martin Waslowski, whose terms expire December 31st, 2012. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I hear a second. I hear a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for discussion?
Now I've got one. Councilmember Pizzillo's been chiding me down here for not saying
Oh, so
anything.
you have one, okay.
I'm going to say it now because this is all of them. Once again, unbelievable citizen turnout for these commissions. Great people with a lot of excitement. The Parks and Recs folks. There were a couple during the interview that almost burst into flames while they were sitting there. They were so excited to be there. It was so awesome. Even from the Art and Culture Commission, one of the questions we asked was, what kinds of things do you think we need? And we got just some unbelievably creative, no-cost suggestions for art and culture projects from these folks that are applying. And if you were, I'm going to say to my fellow council members, if you are ever unsure of your position here and whether it's actually doing any good or not, listen to these people. It is just awesome. So with that, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who's applied for both arts and culture, the Parks and Rec Commission. We have got just a great future ahead of us.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the committee that did that. That was great. Any other comment? Well, I just think it's great that we're having this now, this commission. So I'm very excited. So with that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. So let's go down to the next one. Can I have a motion and a second appointing Wayne Gring to the Arts and Culture Commission as an alternate for the term to expire December 31st, 2015? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Vice Mayor Osborne and a second by Councilman Loretano.
No.
Barbara.
Oh, I'm sorry. The voice sounded so similar. Councilman Barber, thank you very much. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll go down to 3. And can I have a motion and a second appointing Judy Edelman to the Arts and Culture Commission on the term that will expire December 31st, 2015? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Stipp. Open for council discussion? No discussion. All in the favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Great. Well, let me ask now, will the city clerk please administer the oath of loyalty? And will the appointed members, all of you, please come forward to take the oath?
Oh, look at him, Bill. God love him. It's awesome. Wow, look at him.
And city clerk, well, they're up there. When they finish, we'd like them all to say their names and introduce themselves so we can kind of recognize them. Thank you.
She is so excited.
Oh, get them.
Look
Just
at 'em.
line up up in the front. Come on, we have to see all of you.
Hi. We're so glad to see you all. Yay. She'll say state.
You want to go down and? Now, don't go away. Just come on up here and shake down here. They love to shake the hands and congratulate and say how much we appreciate this. So, and how much the city's going to benefit from all your hard work. So come on up and just. I appreciate this.
Be new art.
I knew it. I told you.
So I guess we don't have a camera anywhere to take a picture of this group, this fine group.
Oh, my.
Matt, do we have anything we can take a picture with this fine group standing up here? Oh, please. So all of you come up here to the dais and we'll all get a picture because this is a great occasion. So council, just come on in. Joanne, Joanne, you can come in here. Why don't you come here, close in here, the two of you. Just get in. Yes. Scoot right up here. I don't need my name showing. Just going right up there, okay? All right.
We're going to iPad instead.
Oh, that works. Oh, and there's someone with a camera in her hand.
Oh, thank you. She saved the bell.
Yeah. So we'll do both ways.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, just sit next to us.
Oh, so I should the bunny ears over your head.
Every time.
Just say one more. We're going to find another camera here. One more here.
One more.
Great, thank
This is good.
Gee, you know what, we're going to miss interviewing because we had fun.
We will. I want you to talk about the communications together. Please don't. I got the PIO involved. I just assumed it would be done.
I am so tired.
30th.
So much fun.
Found out 7 in the morning.
Oh, goodness.
It's awesome.
West Fillmore to celebrate Life Way.
So we're going to work on several things.
Okay, now we're on item C. To consider is adopting Resolution 12-15-17, authorizing a street name change for West Fillmore Street, located at the west of North Litchfield Road and east of North Bullard Avenue, to West Celebrate Life Way in the city of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, establishing an effective date. Harry Paxton to present. Harry?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm pleased tonight to bring before you a request from Cancer Treatment Centers of America to change Fillmore Street from Litchfield Road to Bullard Avenue to Celebrate Life Way. Joining me tonight is two representatives from CTCA, Susan Zook, who's the Vice President of Clinical Support, and Alan Swain, the Plant Manager of Operations. So if you have any questions, they'll be here to answer any questions you might have. The name of Celebrate Life Way represents an annual event held by CTCA, the Cancer Treatment Hospital, in celebration of life for those cancer survivors that have survived 5 years. That's the significance of the change of the name. City staff is supported for several reasons because of for this change. CTCA has expressed interest in branding the area stretching from Litchfield Road to Bullard Avenue as a medical community with an emphasis on medical development. And that will help enhance our efforts to create a healthcare services area for the city in that area. Also, all the property owners in that area, current property owners that are addressed on Fillmore, being the hotel, the Marriott Town Place Suites, and of course CTCA, they're supportive of it, as well as future property owners that may have businesses or other businesses that purchase property for them addressed. They're also in support of that, and we have support letters in the documentation that was provided to you. Also, the remaining section of Fillmore is relatively easy to make this change, given that only 2 businesses are addressed there now. And to the east of Litchfield Road, it's already known as and named Auto Drive. And then, of course, to the west at Bullard does not go through to the further west at that area. So if there was an opportunity to rename a street, this is really one that's fairly easily to do. Also, we want you to know that we are in the process, should you approve, of contacting all the different agencies that need to be contacted for a street name change, and especially any of the emergency organizations. And of course, our city's already been informed about this possible change. So there's no fiscal impact to the city to make this change. CTCA has agreed to pay for the cost of the sign changes that are associated with this. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Are there any speaker cards?
No.
All right. Would anybody from the audience like to speak? No? Okay. Then I would ask the city clerk to read the resolution 12-15-17 by title only, please.
Adopt Resolution 12-1517, authorizing the street name change for West Fillmore Street, located west of North Litchfield Road and east of North Bullard Avenue, to West Celebrate Life Way in the city of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Loretano and the second by Councilman Barber. Open for council discussion? I'm going to start down at this side. Councilman Loretano?
Obviously, we've all been touched recently by cancer, and I have had several family members who have been survivors of cancer. So with the work you do, I think dealing with people who have been survivors of cancer, seeing that, I'm 100% for it. That's just very uplifting to them and their family members.
Vice Mayor?
I think it's very fitting, and I believe that this would be an area, just as you stated, branding it for celebration is very good. I'm going to have to ask the one question of just protocol, and that is what I'm thinking of. Do we have within any of our rules and regulations that state anything about street name changes? Is there any kind of ordinances or anything like that? I don't truly know. So that you know, some other company down the way says, oh, well, we want this to be, you know, Sunshine Alley because we make sunshine, whatever. I don't know. So do you know what I'm getting at? And this is nothing against CTCA whatsoever, but I'm just asking for that.
Yeah, Mayor and Vice Mayor Osborne, we do have a policy. This does not conflict with that policy, given that Otto Drive is to the east, Litchfield Road, and it doesn't go through Bullard. So that's one of the reasons why it's very easy to change this. Limited number of businesses there now. All the property owners have agreed to change it, and so it doesn't conflict with the policy that we've adopted.
Comments here? Councilman Pizzolo?
No, I'd just like to echo the comments of the others before me, that I think it's a great idea, and I know that your branding, Celebrate Life, and you do a great job promoting that, so I'm all in favor.
Councilman Campbell?
I just have a question, Mr. Paxton. The cost is only to change the light signal name. Is that correct? There's no cost involved in us redoing maps or any of that sort of thing?
Yeah. No, there's not a cost in doing the map. There is administrative time that the city will spend, obviously, but
it's not a great
installation
expense,
cost
so
is what
it's
is there.
just the light that's there.
Yeah.
Are we going to do it on both ends?
Yes, it will be done at Bullard, and it will be done at Litchfield Road.
Okay.
Also at 143rd, the small street signs will
Okay,
change
that's
as well.
great. Yeah,
Councilman
thank you.
Councilman Stiff?
Harry, you addressed it in the Vice Mayor's question about the precedent issue, and I'm in full support for, I think, more than just the obvious reasons. But if EJM comes to us and says, "Hey, we want to put this whole development in, and we want to name all the streets in it after our kids," and that happens to be a branded thing that we're doing, where does this stop?
Well, EJM is one of the supporters of this street name change.
I'm just using that as an example, but just go across the street and...
I understand. So in their case, if it was them, which they are a large landowner there, they are supportive of this name change and realize that. In many cases, when you're trying to change a street name, it's got to be in areas similar to this in terms of few property owners, few businesses, and then you have one business, such as CTCA, that's purchased over 100 acres since they originally located here. Purchasing property from Litchfield to Bullard is usually, that's not typical. So all those different things come into play is why it makes it work in this area. You don't have that in every area, where you have a number of property owners, a number of businesses, and then streets that may go through, where in this case Fillmore does not. If Fillmore went through to Estrella, if it went through further to the east, we'd have a challenge, but Otto Drive's already been changed. It doesn't go through to the west.
Do we have in our policies, is there some kind of guidance on
I think
this?
the city manager will speak to that.
Yes, Mayor and Council Member Stipp. Our policy is that we follow the county street naming convention,
right.
And that's what we do in almost all cases. However, council does have the ability to change a street name, so that is a policy action. That's why it's before you. Conventionally, though, we almost always follow the county street naming convention way of doing business, because especially on those streets that continue, and they're not just short segments like this one is. But it is strictly up to council to make policy changes for any street names.
Okay, so the precedent really is set more by the council than it is by the city.
That's correct.
Okay, I mean, I'm in support of it either way. Thank you.
I have to say, there's hotel there, and what a marketing tool to say celebrate life. They should be able to develop that quite well, and I can't imagine any of business moving into some of these other sites would be negative on that at all. So did you have? Yes.
I did. What I like about this is that the Celebrate Life Way actually has a meaning for the 5-year cancer survivor. I can tell you, and as Sherry had said, we all know somebody probably that's been touched by cancer. I hit my 5-year mark next year. So I know that when I drive past this, I can think, how great is it that so many people are able to hit that mark? So I like the fact that at least with this, that there's a meaning behind the name, and it isn't just for our kids' names or anything like that, but there's a real meaning behind this.
Having been in that same position years ago, I agree. When you hit that mark, you're happy about that. So I think we're ready to have the city clerk read the resolution, please. 12-15-17 by title only.
I just need to do a roll call vote.
Sure, yes.
Yes, I know that. Oh, you already read it. We did the thing. Thank you. That was so kind the way you did that. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Barber?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Well, I'm going to clap on that one. All right, Council, do you have any comments or for the events that you've been to? And I know it's nice to have some of you back that have been gone, and you were in Boston at a very good event, and so certainly we're anxious to hear some of your comments. So who would like to start first?
I will.
All right, Councilman Campbell.
I attended I am a member of the Infrastructure and Transportation Committee, and it was very interesting to listen to all the speakers talk to us about the proposed fiscal cliff that we're going to go off of in a couple of months and how it will affect our transportation dollars. I met a lot of delegates from all over the country that had similar population as we do, that has similar problems that we do for lack of infrastructure, and it was really an eye-opener in some ways, and I can hardly wait to meet with the city manager for our monthly lunch, because I have a lot of projects I'd like to run by you to see if we could do any of them. But it was certainly worthwhile, Mayor. We really enjoyed it, and we represented Goodyear very well.
Great. Next, Councilman Stipp.
Sherry, I'll leave the.
Oh, you go ahead. I'll just add on.
All right. The Councilmember Loretano and I both sit on the Public Safety and Crime Prevention Advisory Committee to the National League of Cities as well, and it is amazing the things that we hear from other communities, both larger and much smaller than us, that have significant crime issues. To hear it tells, at least it tells me when I come back, and I know it was in the paper last week while we were gone, but what an awesome job we have done to manage public safety in our community, and that is very reassuring. To come back with that. The other thing that the Vice Mayor and I attended was a seminar and a special session on performance-based budgeting. And I know our manager has talked about that, and I'm looking forward to that process. It is the first time in, I'm going to say for me, 30 years that I've actually heard something that made sense from a budgeting perspective. And maybe I have a different perspective now as a council person, but I'm very, very much looking forward to that. And as a council, I think that's really going to help us completely understand what it is we're actually doing out there. So,
Great.
Councilman
Pizzillo?
Well, I was here, and we attended the home plate for the holidays. I don't know if any of you out there had a chance, the mayor and Councilman Barber. I got to throw the switch and meet Mr. and Mrs. Claus. Great turnout, a lot of events for the kids, and fantastic event.
Do we know, Nathan, how many were there?
Mayor, we do have an update on several things for this specific event that I was
so I'll
going
let you
to
do
talk
that
about
when they
in
finish.
my
But no,
remarks.
fantastic event.
Councilman Loretano?
I attended also the conference, and other than what Bill said, the thing I'll add to that we also attend, I think, Wally and I, we're in so many different, with each other at different times. I attended this one about bringing business and keeping business to your city, and it really talked a lot about the small business, and they called it something else, but a lot of like the incubator programs and along those lines, nurturing those small businesses, bringing them along and giving them the resources, and a lot of one-stop shopping. And that was an area I think I would like to see us pursue and get some more information on for our city.
Vice Mayor?
I actually have many things I could speak about, but since I've returned, have barely had a chance to breathe, let alone think about what I want to say right now. So I would like to defer till next week.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Well, from the assistant, I heard a lot of good things
Sure.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Georgia.
Councilman
I just
Barber?
realized- No, that's fine.
Did you have something? I'm sorry.
I just last week was my Get Up to Speed week, and I met with all of the directors. I've met with so many wonderful people here in the city of Goodyear, and I knew that the city of Goodyear was a great place. Now I'm absolutely convinced of it. I'm so proud of everyone here in this city and what you do for our city, and thank you to everyone for being so kind to help me kind of get up to speed. So I think we should really be proud as citizens, as the quality that we have here in Goodyear. So with that, and home plate for the holidays was wonderful.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I think it's healthy, I mean, it's not healthy, we had to replace you because of the circumstances, that. But the fact of the matter that we did replace you, we placed someone that has not been on the council before, has not had any experience on councils before, lots of business experience you've had, professional experience, but so that it's enlightening to me, and that you feel very positive from the first step, and that says that staff is doing this correctly. Because I have to say, in the past, we didn't always have, when I first came on in 2005, we didn't have this kind of program. And this is so beneficial to the council to get you running right at the beginning. So I'm glad you recognize that, and I thank you for stating that publicly.
Thank you.
All right. So other than that, I think they've talked about the only thing that I went to the Holly Jolly or whatever, and it was really fun, and so I'll be anxious to hear the number of people, because I was taken back by the number when I walked in there. Also, General Rothstein said he regretted that many of you could not attend his party at the base, but Ron and I did attend it. I won't go into detail, but it was a very good event. So anyway, so it's over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Start off quickly with some updates, and specific to home plate for the holidays, we do have the numbers that came in and some other information. And Nathan, thank you for providing these. And if you do have more detailed questions, feel free to ask those. We had about 6,400 in attendance, and that's a 33% increase from last year.
6,400.
6,400.
Oh my God.
So we were excited about that. That's a big turnout, and that speaks well for the acceptance of this event by our public. We also kept it all outside at the ballpark, so we had an opportunity to use our desert trees, the palo verdes, and also the palm trees to put lights in there, and it really added to the festive occasion there. 500 children got to give their wish list to Santa.
How late was he? How late was he there? He must have been there awfully late.
Yes, assuming they get what they want, there'll be 500 happy children. In Shop Goodyear, yes. The Reindeer Games, that was popular with folks because it was everything from the reindeer ring toss, snowball throwing, because we had 40 tons of snow, by the way, and a shopping cart obstacle course, which that's entertaining. And then one of the things we did, we had some arts and crafts vendors there. I don't know the quantity, but during that time, the kids were throwing the snowballs around. Moms and dads were able to hit some of the arts and craft vendors. Hot chocolate was sold by the Centennial Committee. We had local school choruses and bands that entertained them throughout, right there at the entrance of the ballpark. And that was highlighted with the annual tree lighting ceremony. Mayor Lord, council members Pizzillo and Barber. So it was a great event. So we're and appreciate all the efforts as staff. There were many involved,
Yeah,
and thanks also for being there.
Can I just ask for a quick
Councilman Loretano has something to say.
Yes.
Again, I wasn't able to attend it, but it was the same time pretty much and date that happened last year as the one up at Estrella. Could we just check for next year before it's planned so maybe they don't overlap?
You had the same event up there? Oh, okay.
It's the second year in a row.
All right, this second year in the row we've had the same date, so we're saying if there's some way we can coordinate the dates with.
Well, that's a good point. Try
At
and
least
coordinate where we can.
We could draw straws and see who gets the dates.
Yeah, it's
very fairly.
It's always a challenge. We're all looking for the same dates.
Exactly right.
So we'll definitely take that under consideration. The other is playground installation over at Park at Paz. 15 residents were there. They assembled with the park staff to assemble and install new playground equipment at the park. And it ranged from children all the way up through adults. So with their help, we were able to complete this in 6 hours, and it looks great, and everything that we're hearing. So we're excited about that, and that's a new amenity in an established neighborhood. So it was a joint effort with our citizenry, so we're excited about that.
You know, that needs to go online, a picture of that online. It would really be nice to have that available for other neighborhoods to see what they accomplished.
Mayor, could we also have that included in the focus? Because that's a really community event.
And then possibly put that down for an in focus, too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We'll certainly look at that as well, any opportunities. And then in terms of follow-up, there were several things that came up. I won't go through them all, but related to, I would just characterize it as far as communication when we come up with emergencies like what happened with Liberty. So we'll be pulling some information together. We certainly want council's input as well on those notifications, what types of notifications. So we'll certainly take a look at that and bring that back to council. I think we had some of the policies. I was back in work session. We'll be addressing a couple of those changes as well, but that was back during the work session. The last thing I have is NLC. Boy, a lot of great ideas. And we would be very encouraged as management to hear some of the takeaways. So when you have an opportunity, I'd love to go through those with you.
Thank you. Did you get all your staff inquiries that you needed tonight?
Yeah.
Everybody's satisfied with that. Well, great. The next meeting we're looking at is 12:10. We'll have a work session and a regular meeting. Now, you know that we have a meeting after this, so I'm going to be adjourning this meeting, and we're going to go into a special meeting, okay? So again, the next council meeting will be December 10th. So with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Meeting adjourned. And now I'm going to call to order